Thank you for clicking in the Will Fix It team. So this is a nice little basic video to help people that are trying to do things on their own. You got your shade trees out there, guys. You're the weekend warriors. You the guys are awesome. I want to give you a few tips and tricks on doing some brakes. What we're working on here is a Mazda 6 car, but this can apply all the way across the board. Let me flip the camera around and show you a few techniques that I use when installing front brakes. Several things that need to be checked as well that are often overlooked by even some of the best auto technicians who just get in a hurry. Check this out. Poor old car. It's a good car, but it's a poor old car. So we're going to be installing these front brakes. And one side wore out excessively before the other side did. And what you're seeing here is just a basic, looks like a welder's clamp. And you can use this. This works. I actually use this more than I do my little turny thing, I'll call it. But this one caliper mounting pin is seized up. Both of these need to move freely. And there is a special kind of grease that is used for that. Let me run across the shop and I'll show you real quick. Check this out. We've got a wall full of tools. You like looking at that? I love tools. There's a reason why they have a thing called brake lubricant. And this is ultra brake lubricant. And the deal with this stuff is it's actually compatible with the rubber that is used to work with the brake parts. I've got a vehicle here that I had worked on, and these little rubber grommets that keep the moisture and stuff out, somebody had used regular, like looks like NICs, and then probably put wheel bearing grease, and that's not compatible. That rubber will swell up and cause the boots not to seal up, and then what you'll have is a seized up, caliper, but not really at the piston. And so we're gonna depress the piston on this caliper, and I'll show you how I do it with these C-clamp pliers. Something else you need to do too, make sure you don't take the other side off. You don't want to push this piston in, and it can actually apply pressure to the other side. If you've got the caliper off, it can actually push the piston out. Now another thing too is when I remove some of the other hardware, I don't want this caliper to fall down, so I'm going to use just your standard trusty issued piece of baling wire, copper wire, coat hanger, anything that you've got handy. You need to hang this caliper up so it's not dangling by its brake hose. That makes you can damage the brake hose and cause later on problems with the brakes. So let me go ahead and show you what I do here with this. And this is a little quicker for me. I like to do it like this. We're going to just squeeze it back. Okay, so now you can see that the piston is flush with the surface of the brake caliper there. That means it's depressed all the way. And something I like to do as well is monitor the brake fluid level as it's coming out of the cylinder right here. And sometimes that level will rise up if somebody's been adding brake fluid. And I have a little suction bubble like you cook with, and I'll pull that out so we don't have brake fluid just going all over the place. If there could be a neutral safety switch or some wiring underneath there, you don't want that brake fluid to go on that. So I'll remove some of the brake fluid when I depress the other side, and typically if you get the level right, you actually don't have any trouble with that, but I'll double check that once we when we put it all together and mash the brake pedal to squeeze the caliper out. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna suspend this caliper on this hanger right here, and I'm just gonna loop it through and let the caliper hang by that baling wire. Then I'm gonna remove this caliper bracket and we're gonna put it in the vise, and I'm gonna show you what I do to clean these pins out, okay? Okay, we've got our caliper in the vise, and if you don't have a vise, just do the best you can. But this one here is free, and this one here is stuck. That causes an issue, a big issue. So what we're gonna do is take off our coat and start to get warm in here. Got the heat rolling. Throw that up there. And sometimes you can just use vice grips and get that out. It's a lot easier to do it with the caliper off of the car. If you try to do this on the car, sometimes you can get them out. But you gotta be careful not to squeeze this too much because you don't want to distort the hole that your bolt for your bracket is. Now see, this thing is seized pretty good, so that means we're going to have to go through a little bit more of a different method. Sometimes I have to use my torch to heat this, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to use a 6-point socket, and if you don't have access to an impact gun, a ratchet will work, but we're going to try to turn this a little bit, and turning it at the same time, we're going to put a wrench behind it. I'm going to pull this boot back. I've got to find a wrench that'll actually fit behind this so we can get behind that flange and pull back and turn at the same time. I'm going to use my impact gun because time is money. So let's do that real quick. We'll set up and go. All right, so we're using our trusty electric hybrid impact, and I've actually repositioned my brake caliper mounter bracket so that it doesn't try to flip out of the vise. But oh wow, yeah, we're gonna have to really get on it. Let's see what happens here. I don't just want to put my big old 1/2-inch drive impact gun on there and break it off. So we're gonna, like I said, yes, a little bit more juice here. You can see that thing is really, really stuck. A little bit closer size wrench. All right. So, as you can see, this thing is really, really seized up. We're going to keep working this like that, and hopefully we'll get it out. If I heat it, sometimes it damages this, but we're just going to keep doing that. So let me keep turning it. We'll move it the other way, forward, and see what happens. Backwards. We'll even incorporate a little bit of PB Blaster behind the butte. It's really so we'll spray some PB Blaster in there, and then to keep the video short, the method is pretty much tried and true, but make sure we get that pin out. Let's see. We're getting somewhere, guys. I know it doesn't look like it, but that we are. Wow. Super stuck. I've got some new booties coming because I missed one anyway, so I'm not too concerned about tearing them up. I'm going to keep doing that until I get it out. All right, by Jordan, I think we're getting somewhere. Yep, there we go. Yes. We got that sucker out of there. Yes. Okay, now, look at that. Do I have it in the camera? Yes, sorry. So now we're going to put it on, I got a wire wheel over there. This is the wire wheel here. Okay, this next little thing I've got here, we've got to get that hole ready for that pin to go back in. It's rusty and whatnot. So what I've done here is I've took a section of like metal fuel line that you can anything that's metal, that's, you know, an antenna, an old school telescopic antenna. I just cut a slot in it. I put some emery cloth in there, and we're going to use this to clean the hole up. Here we go. So as you can see, it done a really nice job getting that hole cleaned up as my camera decides to go out of focus. There we go. All right. We did both sides. This other side wasn't seized up at all, but we went ahead and cleaned it up and get it ready for new grease. And I'll just replace those boots. I've got new boots to go on that. And then what we'll do then after that, just to give you an idea, to help aid the process of putting this back together, I will use a spacer nut and the old lug nut so that I don't run it through and mess up the cap on my lug nut. That'll hold the brake rotor on. We've got new stuff going on there. But those are some of the tips and tricks that I use when I'm doing front brakes. Always keep one side on when you're pushing the piston back. I'll put this side back together and I'll service the other side. If you take both sides loose, make sure you have a C-clamp or something on it so that you don't mash the piston out the other side. That's your big deal. And then, like I say, when I put my new stuff on there, I'll use a little spacer nut to hold that on. And that should help you be able to do front brakes on just about anything that's got disc brakes without having any hiccups, and you'll have more knowledge to some of the better mechanic shops who use the wrong stuff and don't actually grease those pins. It's a big deal. Like I say, I hope that was helpful. Please hit the like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for tuning in to We'll Fix It Team. I'm out.